morning.
Good morning.
Please rise in body or spirit as we sing our gathering hymn, number 170, We Are a Gentle, Angry People. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Hillsborough. We are an open and welcoming congregation. Whoever you are, member, friend, or guest, we are glad you are here. We are defined by covenant rather than to a statement of belief or creed. We support each other in spiritual growth, deepening of faith. We commit to challenge one another to find more love and deep truth inside ourselves and the wider world. I would like to thank everyone who's made this special worship celebration possible. This congregation is created and powered by a long list of volunteers and few paid staff. All of us work in concert to provide not only these beautiful Sunday morning worship time, but other opportunities to gather in fellowship, operate as a well-organized and sustainable organization, and many opportunities to bring our UU values into action in the wider community and world. So this morning, we would like to recognize the whole team. Today, we also welcome our guest pianist, Alice Chin, who is here for Aviva, who's on vacation today. We also welcome our speaker, Marian Abernathy. Marian is a fierce advocate for immigration, both professionally and personally. At Judea Reform, Marian leads their social justice immigration team to coordinate and provide for the welcome and resettlement of refugees and asylum seekers. Additionally, she keeps the pulse on other immigration efforts to support, protect, and partner with undocumented people. And just as importantly, to lead efforts to educate Americans about how they can help change policy, provide practical support, and forge meaningful relationships. She also works with HIAS, an organization that works on advocacy and support for refugees in America. Marian has had many other professional endeavors, including serving in the Peace Corps. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today. We're looking forward to your important message. Before we create our sacred space and begin worship, let's take a moment to share any announcements. I would like to emphasize again that we have a work day next Saturday. Please see the e-news for more information. And once the service is complete, please make an effort to move out of the sanctuary for coffee hour. We have all been sharing the air in here, and it's probably safer to get some fresh air. Are there any more announcements for the good of the community?
Hi, I'm Shauna Saunders. I'm here to plug the Secret Pal program again. So Secret Pal is a program that seeks to build relationships between our youngest members and everybody else. So the idea is that you pair up a child with an older person, and the pal, the older person, gives little secret messages and trinkets and things like that for 3 Sundays. On the 3rd Sunday, we have a little reveal breakfast where you find out who your secret pal is. So we only have 1 secret pal registered so far, and next Sunday is the deadline for registering, so hope that we get some more. Thanks.
I have a couple of things on my mind today. The first one is that I want to give a plug, an additional plug, as an additional adult for the Secret Pal program. And let it be a little bit of a story for me. I was at a memorial service yesterday, and I got the best hug of the day from a child that I've known since he was about 10, and he's probably in his 50s now. and I just can't tell you how important it is to connect with our younger people, and this is a way to do it. And so I hope that I'm the one person who signed up. I hope that there'll be many more today. And secondly, it was a hugely rich e-news this week. There was so much in it. I am so grateful to the people who put it together. We are part of a larger fellowship. The General Assembly was mentioned. Check it out. We're part of a big diaspora. But most importantly, I want to draw your attention there to something that's happening this week. Because most of the others, I think all of the others, are out of ways, so you can put them on your calendar now. But the 8th principal Zoom call with Paula Cole-Jones is happening this week, and it's very tied into the 2nd principle that is up for, is it adoption this time, or just it's for discussion this time?
It's up for approval. If it doesn't get approved, it's gone.
Okay, it's up for approval.
It's not being voted on.
It's up for approval. It's not a matter of voting, but it's very important to our denomination. So please check out that and register to join the Zoom call. Thank you. Was there more I should add?
Not about that, but announce the NAACP. The NAACP is meeting here today.
Oh, right, the NAACP is meeting here today at 4 p.m. also. So we share our space when we can.
Hi y'all, I'm Amy Dark, the program administrator here, and I want to remind everybody of the town show. That is on the 15th, that's this weekend, right?
That was last
Yes,
night.
that was last
That was last night, how did I know? Okay, hold on, I got more. Workday was mentioned, it starts at 12:30, it's not more morning start, so that's a change from the usual. So come here at 12:30 to 3:30 for the workday, which was not yesterday. That's coming up this week. Secret Pal, CA Principal. I think that's all I got. Thank you.
I'll stand back here. I'm Jerry Morris. I'll be the listening ear for today, and would love to talk to you if you need to talk to someone.
If there are no more announcements, let's silence our cell phones, put them in worship mode, and prepare for lighting the chalice. We now create our sacred space by lighting our chalice, the UU symbol for the light of truth that each of us seeks, the light of hope that each of us brings, and the eternal light of love. Out of the Flames by Reverend Sarah Eileen Lawal. Out of the flames of fear, we rise with courage of our deepest convictions to stand for justice, inclusion, and peace. Out of the flames of scrutiny, we rise to proclaim our faith with hope to heal a fractured and hurting world. Out of the flames of doubt, we rise to embrace the mystery, wonder, and awe of all there is and all that is yet to be. Out of the flames of hate, we rise with the force of love, love that celebrates our shared humanity. Out of the flames, we rise.
Our opening words were written by Emma Lazarus in 1883 as a poem entitled The New Colossus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch whose flame is the imprisoned lighting, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome, her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor with twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands, you storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Please stand in either body or spirit as we sing our opening hymn, number 104, When Israel Was in Egypt's Land.
community where we find connection, a sharing community where our joys are celebrated, and a caring community where our sorrows are lessened by sharing them and accepting the support of this community. Each Sunday, we take some time to reflect on the concerning happenings or special events that have occurred this week among our members and friends. Some choose to share aloud, while others choose to remain silent. Here we make room for both. For those of you who would like to share aloud, please take a moment before we begin to center yourself and collect your thoughts so that what you share this morning is personal, heartfelt, and brief. When you are ready, please come forward, tell us your name, and share what is in your heart. When you are finished, you may release a stone into the vase on the altar. For those of you who prefer to silently acknowledge your joys and sorrows remaining in your hearts, I invite you to come to the altar and release a stone into the vase in silence, while Alice plays I Know This Rose Will Open. After everyone is seated and Alice plays it through one time, you're all invited to join in singing one verse of the hymn. The words are printed in your order of service. Hold all these things within the heart of this community, both spoken and unspoken, by remaining silent for a moment as we consider what has been shared and how we might respond. Let us close this important ritual with amen and blessed be.
Amen and blessed be.
At this time, let's sing the children to their religious education classes. The blessing song is in the back of the graders.
May your
to speak with you here today. Hold on, I'm going to make sure everybody can hear you.
Yes. Yeah.
There we
Is
go.
that better?
I think so.
Hard to tell. The Jewish sages tell us that we must treat strangers with kindness and love them as ourselves. This commandment is mentioned 36 times, more than any other commandment or prohibition in the Torah, the first 5 books of the Old Testament. This commandment has its roots in the stories of our ancestor Abraham. To create a more just, caring, and compassionate world, God made a covenant with Abraham and his descendants. God promised to protect us, and in exchange, God expected Abraham and his descendants to be a blessing and to fill the world with righteousness and justice. The rabbis take such great pains to remind us of the importance of kindness because we've been in need of such kindness countless times in our own history. We've been outsiders. Exodus says we have to know the soul of the stranger. We know the soul of the stranger because we are the stranger. Why do we need to repeat this concept so many times and in so many different places? Something happens along the way in our integration and comfort in a new place. We forget our personal history. We forget about the alienation of the immigrant, the dislocation of the newcomer. Each year, we Jews retell the story of Exodus at the Passover Seder. A week and a half ago, my husband and I celebrated with 10 family members and friends. 3 of the 10 came to this country as refugees. My mom and my mother-in-law both arrived in America in 1939, fleeing Nazi Germany. A friend came from what is now Ukraine in the 1980s. A 4th is an immigrant from Colombia. 3 of us are first-generation American-born, and 2 second-generation Americans. And just 1, a 10th of our group, has multiple generations of ancestors from both sides of her family born in this country. None of us Native Americans. 90% of us were strangers to this land within 2 generations. All of us share a bond with those now seeking freedom and hoping for a new beginning in the United States. In 1783, George Washington said, "America is open to receive not only the opulent and respectable stranger, but the oppressed and persecuted of all nations and religions." And 100 years later, Emma Lazarus's famous and welcoming words were placed at the base of the newly erected Statue of Liberty. As we just heard, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." So it's not surprising that many Americans think of our country as a beacon of hope for refugees. But in fact, from the very beginnings of our nationhood, the United States has not been open and welcoming to most newcomers. Just 7 years after George Washington spoke of welcoming all, Congress passed our nation's first immigration law in 1790, allowing only free whites of good character and their foreign-born children to naturalize as citizens. Since that time, our government has gone on to exclude others. The Chinese in the late 1800s, Jews from Europe in the first half of the 1900s, Africans, Latin Americans, and most Asians today are just a few examples. It's not hard to see the injustice and inequalities in who has a pathway to the United States. It's notable that in the years since the Russian invasion, the United States has admitted 271,000 Ukrainians, far above President Biden's goal of 100,000. Yet our country is woefully behind its goal for refugee resettlement for this fiscal year. As of 2 weeks ago, 2/3 of the way into the year, the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program had admitted just 18% of its goal, 25,336 refugees and special immigrant visa holders from Iraq and Afghanistan, towards a goal of 150,000 refugees. I don't share these figures to begrudge the welcome of Ukrainians, rather to say, if we can offer refuge to them, we can to the others who've been waiting longer for safety, to reunite with family, or to make good on a promise to allies who worked alongside Americans in Afghanistan and Iraq. Today, Europe is seeing the fastest growing refugee crisis since World War II, and the world has the largest number of people displaced from their homes, over 100 million human beings. This is a critical moment for all of us to reaffirm and redouble our support for refugees and asylum seekers. But in February, the Biden administration proposed a series of policies which together would result in a virtual asylum ban. Under the proposed rule, someone would be ineligible for asylum unless they present themselves at a port of entry at a time and place they pre-scheduled via the Department of Homeland Security's mobile app, CBP-1, or they can prove that they have sought and been denied asylum in a country through which they traveled on their way to the United States, the same countries from which many of them are fleeing. This essentially amounts to a combination of a third country transit ban and an entry ban, two policies that appropriately elicited outrage when proposed by the previous administration, but they have not garnered much notice this time around. We need to speak out against these hateful policies and injustices. On the other hand, the Biden administration also announced a significant change to refugee resettlement processes with the January announcement of the Welcome Corps. The Welcome Corps is a new service opportunity for Americans to resettle refugees seeking freedom and safety, and in turn, make a difference in their own communities. The Welcome Corps will supplement the existing refugee resettlement process by professional agencies by empowering groups of private volunteers to form sponsor groups to welcome refugee newcomers. Welcome Corps volunteer groups will develop and execute plans to secure and prepare initial housing, greet newcomers at the airport, enroll children in school and newcomers in public benefits, orient newcomers to their new community, and help adults find employment. Private sponsorship may sound daunting. It's a big job, but also an incredibly rewarding one. Over the past year and a half, my faith community, Judeo Reformed Congregation, has both co-sponsored and sponsored 5 newcomer families and is preparing to sponsor a 6th. We've welcomed and gotten to know 19 people from 4 families from Afghanistan, a family of 3 from Ukraine, and as soon as the government processes the paperwork, we will welcome a family of 5 from Haiti. Each time we've done this work, we've not only helped newcomers build a foundation for a life here, but we've strengthened our community and connections to each other, to our faith, to our own families, and to our congregation. We find ourselves in each of these 27 human beings. After completing the 4 Afghan sponsorships, we met on Zoom to reflect on what the experience had meant for each of us as members of welcome teams. Because this work started when we were still somewhat shut in during the pandemic, it offered us opportunities to connect in meaningful ways, not just with the newcomers, but with each other. This was particularly important for a number of volunteers who had moved to the Triangle or joined the congregation either leading up to or during the pandemic. Meeting the 4 Afghan families and getting to know them helped me to better understand my own family's experience. As I said earlier, my mother arrived in 1939, having left Germany at the age of 4 in 1934 when her family was first affected by Nazism. And then she left Italy just after turning 9, the same age as the daughter in our 3rd Afghan family. The multiple moves in a first year in New York, being othered and treated as an enemy alien despite fleeing from that enemy, all sounded familiar to me. But I also found more empathy for my grandmother, who resented having to leave a life of wealth and privilege to start over from the bottom up as I watched some of the newcomers experience that same journey. One team member eloquently reflected on Helen Thorpe's book, The Newcomers, in which the author describes refugee resettlement as acts of courage met by acts of generosity. Little did we know, our volunteers said, that the acts of courage and generosity would be from both the refugees and the sponsorship team. The families proved their incredible courage in leaving their homes and going out into the new world every day. Their abundant generosity shines through hundreds of cups of tea and treats offered to welcome team members. When there was little language between us, the warmth of their laugh and their attempts at humor shined through. In trusting us, they gave us the courage to step into these new roles and to grow as individuals and a community. Another female volunteer shared, In this short time, we've shared in the happiness of our refugee families. 2 American babies born last summer and fall, and we've shared in their grief, 2 parents departing this earth. Our refugee families miss their families who are thousands of miles away, and yet it always feels that my giving a hug to the women, when there are no more words to say, was the only way I could express that they were not alone on this journey. I also have the privilege of consulting with HIAS, the oldest of the agencies authorized to resettle refugees for the U.S. government. Originally, it was the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. HIAS began more than 140 years ago to resettle Jews fleeing the pogroms in Russia. Now HIAS is an international organization working in more than 20 countries to aid and advocate with and for refugees, including resettlement in the United States. Our CEO likes to say, we used to help refugees because they were Jews. Now we help refugees because we are Jews. In my role as liaison to welcome circles around the country, I know the work that Judea is doing is not unique. There are groups of volunteers in welcome circles. Sometimes it's a congregation, sometimes as an interfaith effort, and sometimes just as a group of neighbors who want to help. Today marks 1 week since Easter, and I understand that Unitarians celebrate the holiday in various ways, but this congregation observes it by recognizing new beginnings, new members, and child celebrations. As we start this season, I'd like to encourage you to find a way to help welcome the stranger here in Hillsborough or in the broader Triangle area. There are ways, small, medium, and large, to make a difference, on your own or as part of a group. You can lift your voice. Our representatives in the U.S. Senate and House need to hear from each of us. Opposing the proposed asylum ban, passing the Afghan Adjustment Act to offer a pathway to permanent residency for the Afghan allies we evacuated in 2021, and adequately funding and supporting the refugee resettlement program. We have a new senator and a new representative with whom to build a relationship. Please give them a call. You can volunteer with the refugee agency, either as an individual or as a congregation. There's 2 agencies actively welcoming new arrivals in Durham, CWS, or Church World Service, and World Relief. Other nonprofits support refugees in Orange County. Get to know CWS Durham, World Relief, the Refugee Community Partnership, and the Refugee Support Center in Orange County. They all need volunteers and donations. As a congregation, you can furnish apartments for newcomers, form a team to empower a refugee, to provide social and financial support towards the education and employment goals of a refugee who's been here for a while. If you have occasional time available in Durham or in Burlington, you could join Judea's Grocery Squad. Our volunteers shop for and stock the pantries and refrigerators for newcomers as they arrive and are resettled with CWS. This saves the newcomers a lot of money and enables CWS's busy staff to focus on core resettlement tasks. We do this work with donations to our refugee fund. And if you want to go big, you can sign up with the Welcome Corps, with assistance from HIAS or another of the private sponsorship organizations that provide support. You can also co-sponsor directly with CWS or World Relief. This is a larger 3 to 6 month commitment. I'd encourage all of you to come to Durham Refugee Day on July 8th to celebrate with recent newcomers and learn more. There are many ways to welcome the stranger and stand for justice and inclusion to help repair this hurting world. I think you'll find helping someone make a new beginning here is both incredibly rewarding and can help our country realize its promise. I'd be happy to talk with any of you who are interested in learning more after today's service. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. Each week, we take a monetary offering of donations to support our social justice work in the community. This month, our community partner we will share the collection with is New Hope Elementary School. The money is sent directly to the social worker at New Hope to use as she sees fit. Some of the things we have made possible is clothing for families experiencing homelessness, snacks for children, coats in the winter, holiday and birthday presents. You may donate by putting cash or a check in the basket. Make checks out to UUCH and put plate in the subject line. You may also donate online by using the QR code in the order of service, which will take you to our website. Please join me in our prayer of collective gratitude found in your order of service. For the love that surrounds us every morning, the friends beside us, and for the generous gifts just received, let us be truly grateful. Please stand in body or spirit as we sing our closing hymn, number 210, Wade in the Water.
No rush.
Our closing words are Prayer for While in the Struggle by Reverend Margalie Belizaire. Spirit, help us to understand that we each have a role in justice work, for our liberations are tied to one another's. Help us find our way and commit to it. Help us give our all to this and hold nothing back, for precious lives depend on it. May we summon the courage to tear down the system of injustice and get busy creating a world with justice for all.
Please join me with our closing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace, my friends, and blessed be.
Thanks for checking out the AC. Get to that.
Well, the around, combined in the